the administration was trying to say today that what this UN resolution did was not a change in U.S. policy. Other people say it's a definite change in U.S. policy. What say you?
Oh, there's no question. This is a change in policy. The abstention in the United Nations clearly suggests that what is now happening is Israel is being made into a pariah state, largely because what the abstention really means is that the territory in the West Bank, territory that is part of Judea and Samaria, is no longer considered to be part of Israel.
Let me just read the first sentence of the resolution. It says, this is from the UN resolution that, remember, the United States abstained. They refused to veto. It says, condemning all measures aimed at altering the Palestinian territory occupied since 1967, essentially saying that Israel would have to move borders back to the pre-1967 level.
1967 borders, which means, in effect, even the Wailing Wall, where you would put a message, since 1967, when that territory was conquered, that is now illegal activity. Putting a coat of paint on any property in the Jewish quarter would be illegal. What this condemnation really means is that Israel is now regarded as the renegade property. It's a renegade state, and it is very, very different in both substance as well as in methodology.
Well, Gillian, what's different about what happened today is that John Kerry's tone was so condemning. It wasn't the specifics, because we knew the UN resolution was changing the position of the United States, but he was essentially putting himself on one side of a very tenuous debate between the Palestinians and represented by an organization that used to be a terrorist organization, the PLO, Palestinian Authority, and Israel. The tone was very harsh.
I agree. I think you hit the nail on the head. I don't think this was signaled a shift or a reversal of U.S. policy. I think this was the administration standing up and defending the two-state solution, which they've done from even before they were in office on the campaign trail.
Let me just stop you on the one point. It does, in shifting the territory back to 1967 levels, isn't that a change in policy? Because G.W. Bush, for example, didn't want to do that. They maintained the post-1967 territories.
I can't speak for the administration, but based on what John Kerry said today, what I took from that is he wants the settlement establishments that are going east of Jerusalem that now have something like 250,000 illegal settlers on them to halt so that they can kind of introduce negotiations. What they want is not to revert back to any particular moment in time, but for the Netanyahu regime to stop settlement construction today, or in the illegal areas where, by the way, the Israeli government doesn't even give a lot of them don't even have permits to build there.
But Cliff, hold on a second. We got Cliff May. Cliff, I spoke earlier today to the mayor of Jerusalem. As we just heard from Herb London, this would essentially put things like the Wailing Wall back in the hands of Palestinians or Jordanians who would not allow the Jews to use the Wailing Wall as a religious sacrament that it has become.
This is quite astonishing when you think about it. It's really malpractice when it comes to statecraft. Essentially, the Obama administration and the UN Security Council are saying that the Jewish quarter of the old city of Jerusalem should be off limits to Jews. They can't seem to distinguish between some trailers on a hilltop in Samaria and the part of Jerusalem where Jews now live, but from which they were ethnically cleansed after 1949. Keep in mind, the Palestinians have never controlled any territory whatsoever in the Middle East. It's never happened. You had the Ottoman Empire, you had the British Empire, then Jordan took what is now the West Bank during the 1948-49 war. Egypt took Gaza. In 1967, another war starts. Israel defends itself, takes those two properties, those two territories, and says, we've got an idea. We'll trade this land for peace. We'll create the first Palestinian state in history. Now, as if the administration doesn't understand all that, it says, no, no, no. Those aren't really your territories. Now Israel essentially has nothing to bargain with. Yeah. Mahmoud Abbas has not, in 8 years, wanted to negotiate without preconditions with the Israelis. Why would he do so now? Okay. He knows he can go to the UN and he can get these things without it.